God has done for you, and whatever he has done for you, let that thing deal with whatever it is you're going through. So that's what we were talking about last week. We started talking about resiliency. So let's deal with this scripture. We can go to Luke chapter 15 and the verses 11 through 32. And I'm going to read from the Message version. And all of what I want you to think about as we read this, I want you to think of, do you know who you really are? Do you really know? Do you know who you really are? Then he said, this is Christ talking, there was once a man who had 2 sons. The younger said to his father, Father, I want right now what's coming to me. So the father divided the property between them. It wasn't long before the younger son had packed up his bags and left for a distant country. There, undisciplined and dissipated, he wasted everything that he had. After he had gone through all of his money, there was a bad famine in that country, and he began to hurt. He sighed. He signed on with a citizen who was assigned to his field to slop the pigs. He was so hungry that he would have eaten the corn cobs in the pig slop, but no one would give him any. That brought him to his senses. He said, all those farmhands working for my father sit down to 3 meals a day, and here I am, starving to death. I'm going back to my father. I'll say to him, Father, I've sinned against God. I've sinned before you. I don't deserve to be called your son. Take me on as a hired hand. He got right up and went home to his father. When he was still a long way off, his father saw him, his heart pounding. He ran out, embraced him, and kissed him. This is the father doing this. The son started his speech, Father, I've sinned against God. I've sinned before you. I don't deserve to be called your son ever again. But the father wasn't listening. He was calling to his servants, quick, bring a clean set of clothes and dress him. Put the family ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Then get a grain-fed heifer and roast it. We're going to feast. We're going to have a wonderful time. My son is here. Given up for dead is now alive. Given up for lost is now found. And they began to have a wonderful time. All this time, the older son was out in the field. When the day's work was done, he came in. As he approached the house, he heard the music and dancing. Calling over to one of the houseboys, he asked, what's going on? He told him, your brother has come home, and your father has ordered a feast, barbecue beef, because he has him home safe and sound. The brother stalked off in an angry sulk and refused to join in. His father came out and tried to talk to him, but he would not listen. The son said, look how many years I've stayed here serving you, never giving you one moment of grief. But have you ever thrown a party for me and my friends? Then this son of yours, who has thrown away your money, cover the baby's ears, thrown away your money on whores, shows up, and you go out and give him a feast. His father says, son, you don't understand. You were with me all the time. Everything that I have, everything that is mine is yours. But this is a wonderful time. We had to celebrate. That brother of yours was dead and now he is alive. He was lost and he's found. Now later on we're going to go through a message about the brother that stayed home, and it's either in my heart close but yet so far away, or either the sermon title will be Eyes Wide Shut, and we don't realize what we actually have around us, or how we're actually in the presence of God, how we actually have the blessings of God. But because we're not getting acknowledged how other people are acknowledged, we're not getting the praise that other people are getting, we don't recognize the beauty and the gifts of God. So let's get into this thing. Let's deal with this right here. And I want y'all to pay attention to this. And I want y'all to get the significance of this story. So one thing you have to understand is that when Christ gave these parables, it was always something hidden in the message. It wasn't just a word. It wasn't just a sentence. He was really cracking their head at the same time. So let me give you this. So the father decided, let me give you this. Then there was a son who once said, there was a man who had 2 sons. The younger said, Father, I want what's going on with me right now. I want to have all that's supposed to be mine. What he wanted was his inheritance. And you know you don't get an inheritance until the person passes on. So what that was saying in their culture, y'all got to understand this. What the son was saying to his father was, I wish you were dead. I wish you were not alive. I value these things more than I value your life. I value these things more than I value the relationship that we have. I value these things more than that which you have done for me. And so it's the same thing that comes into play with our relationship with God. There are things that we want in this world, let's just be honest, that we value more than what God has done for us. There are things that we want in this world more than what the relationship we have with Him. If you were honest, and we start placing the things that actually are in the want category of our heart against the things that are in the relationship category of our heart with God. Let's just be honest, there are times where that thing outweighs the things that we want, the things that we pursue, the things that we fight to have in this world that have absolutely no eternal value. And we push those things way up and we fight for them. We do whatever we need to do so that we can get those things. But then there's a price to be paid for that. Then what happens, the more you begin to focus on that, the less you begin to focus on the relationship that you have with God. So despite what this world has told you, you really cannot multitask. There are multiple studies that show you that when you try to multitask, you know what you end up doing? You end up doing a whole bunch of stuff mediocre. You end up doing a whole bunch of stuff just halfway, rather than focusing on that which is in front of you and giving it all of your attention. And so the question then becomes, this again is not one of those messages people like to hear. What are you doing to focus on the actual relationship that you have with God? How do you talk to Him? How often do you talk to Him? What is it that you're talking to God about? What's going on in the relationship when He tells you to do something? I was talking to my son this week and I was just telling him, always, no matter what is said, no matter what is done, always trust your gut. Anytime someone tries to get you, and I didn't tell them the last part, but really what's going on in your gut is the Holy Spirit.